This was a bit of a weird time for the Oscars, wasn't it? I mean, there's been plenty of coverage about how awkward the whole ceremony felt, but I'm talking specifically about this year's nominees for Best Picture. In any other year, you'd get an idea of which films were most likely to be nominated based on their popularity at the cinema and the general discourse surrounding them, but that just hasn't happened, particularly in the UK, where most of these films went straight to streaming services. At this point, we all know that Chloe Zhao's Nomadland took home the big prize, but I want to delve into why this happened, because I get the feeling that if it hadn't been for the pandemic, this film might not have been as successful as it has been. Before we get into my thoughts behind all that, I just want to say, as always, thank you for swinging by my channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Your support really helps to, well, grow this channel. And if you're feeling extra generous, then why not hit that like button as well? So, why did Nomadland win Best Picture? For starters, I think it's worth mentioning that I don't dislike Nomadland. In fact, I think it's one of the best movies to come out in the last 12 months, and I highly recommend that if you haven't already seen it, then go watch it. The film has a great deal of empathy for its main character Fern, played by Frances McDormand, who undergoes a major life change after her employer shuts down not that long after the death of her husband. Nomadland toes a line of being a family drama and also an eye-opening look about what happened to America following the late 2000s financial crisis. If The Big Short was a comedic look at how we got into this mess, then Nomadland is the stark reality of what came after. And yet there's a lot of optimism around the film, particularly in how it portrays the nomad lifestyle as something that can be quite liberating, giving people the chance to explore the American landscape whilst also being part of a wider community. It's a very accomplished film, but not one that I would have typically assumed to be a Best Picture frontrunner. And to understand why I feel this way, you only have to look at the last decade of Best Picture winners to see which films the Academy usually favours. From Parasite to Argo, Moonlight to The Artist, the Academy tends to look more favourably on films that have big dramatic set pieces or ones that pay an homage to the filmmaking process. The only outlier of the last decade is Spotlight, but the disturbing facts that emerge from that film haunt you afterwards, kind of like a performance unto itself. I bring this up because, by comparison, Nomadland feels like a far more subdued affair, and don't get me wrong, Frances McDormand plays a terrific role as Fern, but there aren't major dramatic moments throughout the film. It's more a slice of life that you feel could honestly be happening even if there wasn't an audience to watch it. Contributing to this factor is the fact that there are so many people in Nomadland who aren't actors. In fact, they're real-life nomads playing fictionalized versions of themselves. At times, it feels like you're watching a documentary, and in that sense, it's really unique compared to the other movies that were in the running for Best Picture. But I do feel that it was the events, really, of the last year or so that made it such a hit with voters. Other nominees, like Promising Young Woman or The Trial of Chicago 7, are great movies, and they could have won in other times, but after having been stuck indoors for so long, separated from our families, and actively avoiding crowded situations, watching these movies, it just feels like you're peering into an alternate universe. Nomadland, however, with its story of various individuals just trying to get by and really trying to make the most of what they have, just resonates a lot more with what we've all had to go through. That sentiment might also explain why Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor, an award that everyone was convinced was going to go to the late Chadwick Boseman. After all, Hopkins' portrayal of a man's day-to-day struggle with dementia in a film that also shows the harsh realities of what it means to care for an aging parent probably struck a chord with a lot of people, particularly after the events of 2020 had us all thinking more about those who are closest to us. But still, I do believe Nomadland to be a tremendous piece of cinema, and even though it's not your typical Best Picture winner, it's one that more than deserves all of its accomplishments. And if you agree or even disagree with my theory, then please let me know in the comments below.